I didn't tell this part of the story, but I'll tell it to you guys because I think it's important. So I was laying in bed, and at this point I'd lost everything, to me, everything in life. Like I'd lost everything. I was so poor, and I was still digging up money to make things happen. And I remember laying there and honestly was ready to kill myself. Like at the point, I'm done with life.
Becoming a master is not about doing 4,000 things. It's about doing 12 things 4,000 times.
The Ultimate Sales Machine presents the CEO Mastery Show for entrepreneurs looking to grow faster, better, smarter. If you would like to have a profound breakthrough in your business, talk to our team live by visiting chetholmes.com/breakthrough. Good advice is contextual. Get your answers at chetholmes.com/breakthrough.
Hello everyone, Amanda Holmes here, CEO of Chet Holmes International, and I had the funnest time meeting Bart Miller. It was, well, first, tell them a little bit about you so we know how amazing you are.
Oh, thank you. So, internet marketer. I coach a lot of the top internet marketers in the space. Also been blessed to have a $10 million funnel, receive YouTube awards for huge YouTube channels, developed several brands and sold them, but really claim to fame is 4 amazing kids, amazing wife, all that fun stuff. So internationally traveled, I speak Japanese, and love culture and living the dream.
I love it. So someone says, oh, we need to meet. We come up and you tell me this crazy story about my father, and then we close the loop. But
yeah, this was a really crazy thing. It was a big, impactful event in my life. So I didn't tell this part of the story, but I'll tell it to you guys because I think it's important. So I was laying in bed, and at this point I'd lost everything, to me, everything in life. Like I'd lost everything. I was so poor, and I was still digging up money to make things happen. And I remember laying there and honestly was ready to kill myself. Like at the point, I'm done with life. And I remember this voice coming to me and saying, you will hire mentors and coaches to push you at a level that no one would be pushed, right? I mean, if I hired Amanda, for example, my expectation is, you better be beating me up. You better be taking me to that next level, right? And I expect
you're
that.
Good.
Yeah.
You're coachable.
You want,
ready.
but you want a coach that's really driving you. If I have a bodybuilding coach, I want to push me. Not if I have an excuse, it's like no excuses, right? Yeah. And I remember, and he says, you've hired these coaches, but yet me as God, universe, when I put you through this, you're mad at me. You're cursing me. You're chastising me, and you're ready to kill yourself? And I was like, whoa. Like, whoa. I mean, it was one of those moments. I got out of bed and I'm like, whoa. Like, no. Like, I want the universe to push me to my highest level. I want to become the best me. Right. Like, what am I thinking? This was for me. And it was like a game changer. So let's go on. So then all of a sudden I found John Azareth, and I was like, oh, this is a cool program. I'm going to go to this. Then all of a sudden I found a program called the Ultimate Salesman. No, it wasn't the Ultimate Salesman. It was Business Mastery. Yeah, excuse me. I'm getting all things confused because I'm getting excited about this. So found this event. It was the very first time that Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes had teamed up to put this on. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go to this thing. I want to go to this thing. Well, anyway, you had to apply. They had to look at your business. There was quite a little process to go through. Yeah. Long story short, I went. And there's more to that story, but while I was there, it was a unique thing. I was not supposed to meet Tony and Sage, but I ended up having a friend there that knew them, and we had connected. And he's like, would you like to meet him? And I'm like for reals? And he's like, no, like for reals. And I'm like, no, this cannot happen. Well, anyway, long story is I did. I walked backstage, got introduced to them while Chet was there, and he was standing on the other side. I was over here, if you can see this, I don't know if you're listening, I was on the far left, Tony was there, Sage was there, and then Chet was on the far right. He walks around behind us, comes over on my left side, and he asked me for my hand. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm talking to Tony, like this is a moment, I'm getting pictures, I was like blown away. Anyway, my mind's just going a million miles an hour, but it's Chet Holmes. I mean, what am I gonna say? No, of course. And so I'm like, he's got my hand, and all of a sudden he drops my hand, and I'm like wrapping up here, and I'm thinking, well, I gotta find out. Well, he got, I wouldn't say sidetracked, but he was talking to somebody else. And so I was like, okay, well, I wonder what that was all about. Really weird, but like universe, all these things. No clue what that was all about. Go back, sit in the audience, right? Because you know how the bodyguard thing is around all that.
Yeah,
like that was a one-time opportunity for me. Like I was like, oh my gosh. So I wasn't gonna get like backstage again. I knew that. So I was like, well, I wonder what that was all about. Like it just kept in my mind as I'm sitting there. Yeah. All of a sudden he brings up that he was a professional palm reader. And I'm like, then anxiety, panic, like what did he see? Like, I was freaking out. Like here I am at this event. I'm like, oh my God. Well, long story short though, I still never get to see him. So I never have had closure on this. Then I'm sitting there, and Robbie goes, hey, by the way, there's an amazing person here that you need to meet. I'm like, who? He goes, Amanda Holmes. And I'm like, he's like, yeah. And I'm like, no. No. And so we meet, and I tell her this story, and she goes, Bart, can I read your hand? And I'm like, the universe is speaking again. Like, this is a critical moment in my life, and here you are. That's amazing. With your father's background, with everything, and you fulfilled that, not only for me, but for my amazing wife. And so this is one of those moments that I was just like,
how crazy. 12 years later.
Here we are.
My father, right, reads his palm, never gives him the message, and then I get to read his palm and tell him the message. Oh, it's so amazing. And you're in such a magnificent place, as we saw from your palm.
Thank you.
So, with this wonderful story, which I'm sure everybody was like, oh, that's great. What a funny story. Let's dive into, I love what you were saying about becoming I would say the best version of you to get, you say it. You say it better than me.
So here's the thing that I'm in the Clickfunnels world, so I'll use kind of some of their language because we're at their event right now. But there's the attractive character, right? Becoming the attractive character. And in any business, Chet Holmes was the attractive character of his brand. Yep. Right? So whatever that becomes, like there is certain things that come along with becoming your attractive character. Yeah. People struggle with this. Now, the first thing I want to just really preface this with is most people think once they become the attractive character, they've always got to be that same character forever. In fact, 24 hours a day, some people. Wow. But that's not true. I want you to think about this. Does Superman stay Superman 24 hours a day?
No.
Interesting. How about Spider-Man?
Nope.
No. Isn't that interesting? But we want to be a Spider-Man. Right. But yet we're so afraid to be dad. We're so afraid to say, I live this other life. Why would you be afraid of that? All your superheroes do it.
Right. Interesting.
It can be extremely exhausting trying to always be the attractive character. Like, I want to live different lives. There's things I want to experience. So, for example, if you go do some research on me, you'll see right now I'm going by the $1 billion Cowboy. I'm team roping. But if you looked at me right now, I've got Mickey Mouse signature Gucci shoes on, a Gucci belt, Mickey Mouse shirt on. Like, I'm totally different. Like, I would never, I'm not a rodeo cowboy today, but yet I style Russell Brunson that sits in there, and everybody's like, oh, this is so crazy. You're a stylist, but you're a cowboy? But you're a bodybuilder? And I'm like, isn't it awesome? I can be whatever I want to be.
That's amazing.
Okay, so there's some cool things that we have to do, though, in learning this. Okay, so one of Chet's cool things, right, was he was a what? A palm reader. Yeah. Well, is that not unique? Right?
So unique. It was such a great way to build rapport with people, right? It doesn't matter who you are, what your worth is, right? Anybody wants their palm read.
So cool.
Majority of them.
I love that.
Would you like to double the size of your company in the next 12 months flat? Take 30 seconds to answer our quiz on the ultimate sales machine on what's holding you back from growth. The reason is because 95% of businesses will never make it to $1 million in annual sales. Of that, 0.08% of those will reach $5 million. Of that, 1.5% will ever reach $10 million, and 0.004% will ever reach $100 million and beyond. See, in most cases, it's not about your product or service. It is the skills it takes to grow your business. Based on the Ultimate Sales Machine, written by my father, Chet Holmes, voted in the top 10 most recommended marketing and sales books of all time. We can help you get there. All it takes is focusing on one skill area that can double your sales if you have the pig-headed discipline and determination to do so. So be pig-headed. Go ahead and answer those 5 questions on our survey to understand how you can create your ultimate sales machine.
Answer these 5 questions at howtodoublesales.com.
So what I do is when I'm styling somebody or looking at their attractive character is, so let's take Russell Brunson, because I style him. Let's just use him since we're here. So Russell's an introvert. Russell really doesn't like to talk about things that are not in his wheelhouse. Okay. So what I do is I put things on him. So he loves watches. He's a watch nerd. So guess what? If I buy the right watch, if anybody comes up, they know the watch. Can he talk about it? Of course he can. And it brings him on to task, because if I know the watch, I already connect. See that? So I wear a big elk tooth ring, like it or not. It's a big bull I shot. It's in the Idaho Greatest Elk book. But that tooth is on there. It's ivory. But if you know that ring, if you know what an elk tooth is, you will come across the room to speak to me. Is that my attractive character? Is that the person I want to talk to? Of course, because I can talk about that all day long. See, so I'm wearing certain things, the people that I want and what things I want to talk about. If they know, they know.
Oh, that's great.
You see what I mean? So they instantly, so when you're building your brand or your attractive character, don't put yourself in situations where if you were in an event, you walked off stage, that people wouldn't have things that they could relate to or that they draw to. So Russell loves wrestling. You know, there's certain things, so I'm always looking at, he loves shoes. So if you look, every outfit has a shoe change, always. There always a certain shoe for a purpose, okay? Everything has a purpose when I'm styling somebody, okay? So he's in a lot of video, right? So building his brand, building his attractive character, if I put him in a lot of loud clothes, trust me, the videographer right here is like, yeah, I get what he's saying right now, like I'm on. Cameras don't like that. So I have to be very conscious of not only what he's doing, but what's his background? How many colors are behind him and who's filming him? How much is he gonna be on there? Oh, then let's think about this. All of a sudden, who's coming tomorrow? Tony Robbins. What can I guarantee Tony Robbins is gonna be dressed in?
Black.
Absolutely. So why would I dress Russell in purple? Or something that's not gonna work with him. If I know he's gonna be in 1,000 pictures and Tony's gonna be here, I need to style him accordingly so that he looks the best version of him with these people.
Wow.
Today, he's gonna be taking thousands of pictures when he gets done doing this pitch out here. So if you go look at the outfit he's in today, you will see it will go with anything, but it looks baller.
Awesome.
But it's still on point with the brand. Does that make sense?
It does.
So there's a lot more to this. So when people hire me, they think what we're doing, we're just going shopping. When reality is what we're really doing is we're digging into, okay, so do you like to weightlift? What's your hobbies? What are the things that if somebody came up to you, you would be like, oh my gosh, you want to geek out on wrestling talking? Let's do this. Or you want to talk about shoes? Like, I'm in. Or, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. It's an expression of you. It's an extension of you, and it's what you want to also discuss. I love that. I love that. So I always wear a scarf. Right. And it's because I studied under an Indian saint for 10 years now, and I was very involved with buying scarves and how important they are to your wardrobe. For her, it's her robes. So for me, it's a very sacred thing. It's not about my brand per se. Right. It's just about what I feel comfortable in, and what it represents to me is that dedication and devotion to my own spiritual path.
But what's cool about that is, though, people will look at that as a signature piece. Yeah. Those will be the things your kids want to take with them, if you know what I mean, or whatever it may be, because it is your brand. It is who you are. Now, I will want to stress one other thing that's really cool. I want you to go look at the original characters, be it Spider-Man, Superman, doesn't matter who it is. Look at their first outfits. Do you think they were comfortable the first day they put their attractive character outfit on?
No.
Right? And how much have they advanced since the first day? How far have they gone? So if you look at Russell, the very first event I styled him at, you'll go say, wow, he looked really sharp. But go look at him now.
Yep.
Look how much it's evolved. When Russell would never, till this year, well, last year I got him in one for a little bit. This year I've had him in 2 jackets. Won't wear them. Hates jackets. Okay? So as a stylist, it gets hard because what do I really have to work with? I've got a shirt.
Right.
He untucks his shirt, so I can't use belts.
Okay.
So I've got shoes and I got a watch. But yet I've got to make this man very presentable. I got to make him very plain. There's only so dang many blues and things I can do, right? I mean, you know what I mean? Like there's a point when we've done a lot of fun with it, but like jackets give me a whole nother world. But if he wouldn't evolve, I couldn't do it, right?
I love it. And it's so funny. Before I even met Bart, I thought, seeing Russell on stage, I thought, wow, he's looking really good. I bet you he has a stylist.
Yeah, you said that. You totally said that. Yeah, that's awesome.
I never think about these things, and yet that I saw him, I'm like, he is really put together well, and it was the jacket.
Yeah.
So it was interesting.
Yeah, and I got 40 texts as soon as he walked on.
Really?
Like, this is his best outfit. Looks so amazing. Now, I will tell you another funny story about this when you're going through this process.
Yeah.
So I pay Russell a lot of money to be in his programs.
Yeah.
You know, and we do that, right? Mm-hmm. And I do what Russell says, right? Because I'm invested in him. Well, we were at our first big event, and there was a pair of shoes that were a little out of his comfort zone. Mm-hmm. So he's getting ready to go on stage, and I get a boxer from him, and it says, "Can't wear the shoes. Like, I'm out. I can't do this." And I'm like, this is what I said to him. Now, I want to tell you, when a great leader like Chet, Tony, I'll put Russell in there, like they've led a lot of people, right? They're amazing leaders. But what makes a great leader is also somebody who's coachable too. And I want you to think about that for a minute. So I was there and I was thinking, you know what? I said, no, it's unacceptable. I said, you pay me a lot of money to make you look the way you want. Please do what I've asked you to do, and you'll see the result I ask you to do. That's why you invested in me. Guess what he showed up on stage in?
The shoes.
That shoe. Guess what he got 1 million comments on?
The shoes.
That shoe. But see, if he hadn't been coachable, and he expected me to be coachable, right? Right? He's expecting me when I buy his programs, just like we all are. He wants me to be coachable. But he followed. What a great leader, right? It's okay to question. It's okay to be insecure. Amanda, you can see things in me that I can't see in myself. I guarantee you. I just know you. You're looking at me saying, oh my gosh, like I can see these things. But I can do the same for somebody else. That's what's great about leaders, right?
So tying that back then to on the business side, I love what you had said to these business owners that are trying to adapt to online or trying to adapt to a new way of thinking, and you distinguish between one office and the other. Can you go into that a bit? Because I thought that was so great. So you said 100%. Coachable.
Yeah, so one thing that we just talked about is if you decide to do something like this, right, a great coach is coachable. Now, we were talking a little bit about, I coach some brick and mortar people, and I also love the internet marketing world, but I come from brick and mortar, traditional old-fashioned marketing. I worked for a TV station. Like, I sold real advertising back in the day, right? So that all being said, I get a lot of older clients that come to me and say, hey, I really, Bart, want to get in online. And I look at them and I say, now, do you really honestly want to do this? Yeah, I want to. I'll do whatever it takes. And I said, okay, well, this is what it takes. I want you to separate and create a new company within your company. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yes. I said, you cannot look at your traditional brick and mortar the same way as you look at your online business. Now, are they the same? Yes, but they're not the same. And I want you to totally put a new hat on. I want you to become the new attractive character of learning this online space. And they're like, okay. So some of them put a division, like their marketing teams, everything are separate. Honestly, like I separate the company. Then we separate them into a different room. Some of them actually have to get another building. Like that's where they need to go. Like I'm not kidding around. But when you do this, what happens is your mind shift steps out of business A into business B. Now, what I really want to reference this to is like, there's pet names for people. Like, so if you're like some person, like you give them a pet name, they react totally different than if they're called their regular name. It's kind of weird, but I have pet names for certain people and they're always like,
affinity.
I love this. Like, you know, it's kind of cool, right? But that's what you want to do in this is like, you almost need to name it something else. So when you're there, you're like energized about this new thing, even though it's the same products, the same everything, because really what you're stepping into is it's not a new way of marketing, but a different way for you to get your mind wrapped around this new world.
I love what I took away from that when you shared it was just keeping an open mind to a new possibility
100%.
And honoring those people that are around you to hear their feedback and really listen to them. Because when you're when you've been running a business for so long and you have it in a certain way, it's hard to take that step back and then have a fresh perspective in something that's very new and it's very fast paced and it's constantly changing. So having that learning mindset and that open to coaching is great. So you do it with styling and you do it with your online marketing, you do it within your organization. If you're a student of life, then everything can be interesting and appealing and
100%.
Keep your interest because there's so much to learn.
Yeah, and one thing I'll add to that for you, Amanda, is that a lot of times in the brick and mortar world that I find is we're a little more established.
Yeah.
So we're a little older.
Yep.
But all of a sudden we're walking into a younger world. So if I went to my daughter and said, hey, I'm going to teach you how to run this cell phone, she'd look at me and go like, really, Dad? Like, for real? I'm like, I'm going to tell you what you need to do on this cell phone. I mean, right? She's going to laugh just like that at me. But I really think a lot of businesses, like, think about this. So I would give the analogy to these older business owners. Like, you're walking into a world that's theirs and you're telling them how to run a cell phone, when reality is you need to be saying, hey, look, I want to run this ship. I need your help. But honey, like my daughter, I would say, honey, can you really teach me how to run this cell phone at its fullest capacity so that I can be more successful in what I'm doing? Then I need to sit back and I need to learn. I need to go practice. Then I need to come back and say, how am I doing? Yeah. But it's sometimes harder when we're older because we get so rigid that we want to go in and say, I've run the cell phone. I've been on calls my whole life. Like, what come on. Like, this new technology, are you kidding me? Like, what can it really do for me? And then all of a sudden, like, my daughter's like, Dad, it can do a million things for you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it really can, right? So that's just something to think about when you're going through this process. It's not always easy, but it's kind of fun, actually.
I love it. I love it. And I think those are the most successful, too, are those that are able to adapt and shift and learn. And that humility, too, is nice to
100%.
see. Yeah. Thank you so much, Bart. It was so great.
Yeah.
Are you tired of working endlessly to generate new leads that can't seem to get their attention? Are you overwhelmed with the amount of shiny objects taking you away from real sales results? For the last 30 years, Chet Holmes International has taught the foundational principles every business needs to better market and sell. So throw away that latest shiny object idea and get into our proven bootcamp so you can learn the timeless strategies that will help you get 9 times the impact from every move you're already making to generate new clients. Grab your seat to make this next year your best yet.
Sign up at chetholmes.com/9X. I would love to see you there.
Subscribe for more videos. Claim your free Chapter 4 of The Ultimate Sales Machine. This chapter helps you get 9 times more impact from every move you make. Visit ultimatesalesmachine.com. This has been the CEO Mastery Podcast, brought to you by The Ultimate Sales Machine.